Let's do it.
Boop, beep, beep, boop.
If you're sitting here watching this stream today, you cannot underestimate how ahead of the curve you are right now.
Bitcoin looks tired. Altcoins look hungry.
I'm just not quite sure that Bitcoin has any more sauce.
I still think this thing is really worth a lot more than it is.
This stuff's spooky, man. These chaos PRZs are intense.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Solana is highly performant and has the team with the experience to support it.
$4,800 Ethereum. That's a big, big move here.
Whatever you do, always play from a position of strength. Yeah, I can imagine. The videos were frightening. Oh yeah, we're back. We're back. It's DeltaFi. It's Thursday. Good to see you guys. Welcome back to Hero Labs. We've got Rob Levy on my left. We've got Gunny on my right. And we got Crypto Messiah out shopping right now, thinking it's Wednesday. So we're going to have him back in the studio next week. I just spoke to him. He has assured me he shall make a return next week. Today we've got the core squad, the homies, back in the studio to talk about green candles and what this week's price action could mean for the rest of the summer. I'm in the bull camp, obviously. I think we were cautiously optimistic last week that we were in a kind of a bottom range. But yeah, what are you guys' thoughts right now? What are you feeling? I know you probably paid attention to the Fed minutes yesterday, Rob. What do you got for us? What's this FOMC shit?
Yeah, I mean, FOMC, it's more just talky. They're so trying to weigh everybody's emotions on all sides. I think it's a given. You know, they went 75 last time. They'll go probably 75 this time. I don't know. 50 to 75 is what they're thinking. But, I mean, more than that, I'm just trying to figure out how much of the crypto Bitcoin selling was coming from pure forced liquidation and all that. I personally feel we've sold off way more than kind of what we should have due to some external factors. And I'm waiting for that little bit of the dislocation. It's still, you know, we're all feeling green today, but we're up 1.5%. You know, kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah. Doesn't take much to make a bull horny in a bear market.
I know. What's been painful, dude? Everyone's in pain right now that I talk to. It's just painful.
Isn't that the time that we want to be?
Yeah.
If you have your ear to the ground and you're a little bit closer to kind of the center of the crypto universe, and these are the times when you want to be looking for that. That divergence between the crowd and the market. And I think what we've kind of positioned ourselves for the last couple of weeks has been a lot of that. You were seeing a lot of relative strength in things like Solana, which obviously I've been vocally bullish about. Not so much bottom picking, but as much as like, if this is the beginning of a bottom, like, is this something that can outperform the rest of the market? And I've picked a few horses to lean into, and hopefully we're on sides and you get a good core position to start working from. I'm going to take Rob's general position and take the bull case right now.
But Dan, think about it. I mean, we're looking at Solana right now. We're talking about something that it just traded 90%
exactly
off its highs. Right? Like 90% off its highs. And yeah, did it get cooked? And it was like, Solana was a buzz token last year, but 90% off its lows. Like, nothing's really changed with what they're doing. I think they're actually getting stronger. They're fixing shit. So it's like, if you're not going to take a stab at it when it's down 90%, like, what the fuck are we doing here?
You got it, man.
And
right.
Yeah.
You know what was interesting?
I loved it at 150 bucks. I'm gonna love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. If you like me at 100, you're gonna love me at 20.
Love me at 20.
I mean, look, Sam Bankman-Fried. I think we've obviously been Sam fans for a while. We know him pretty well over at Hxro, but like he's really stood out in all of this chaos as the sort of the light, you know, the white knight, so to speak, kind of roaring in to put a really positive, I think, spin on crypto in the midst of all of this like centralized failure around
what
Celsius and everything else.
Like, are you telling me that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I just mean, so like it makes sense that I think FTT and Solana deserve a bid. I mean, he's really, there's a lot of really big players in the space that have not stood out in that positive way. Even CZ, yeah, there's Sam and CZ drama today. Kevin said on Twitter, there's a debt on the Voyager balance sheet of Alameda, like owes them like 400 and something million or something.
376, I think I saw.
Yeah, that's what it was. So, but either way, I just think it's worth a bid. I was looking at FTT today.
Wait, so what's the beef? I missed it. I was doing other stuff. Like,
CZ took a shot at him. He basically said something. I should pull it up, but he said something along the lines of like, oh, very interesting, And somebody said like, somebody commented back to him, and he said, no, like. Binance is fully self-sufficient. In other words, like we don't borrow like Alameda and Sam do. Like it was just a subtle shot.
They don't borrow, they steal.
It was a subtle
idea. They steal ideas from people. They stole Sam's Move contract the day that was gone. They via Pancake Swap stole Moonrect from Hxro. Like they steal.
Yeah.
CZ's got an entity that's 200 LLCs. It's made up of 200 fucking LLCs. Like, don't give me that shit. He can go out and say whatever he wants. Full of shit. It's a big fucking game they got going on there. And like Sam's out there trying to do, Sam is the only one from CFI that is playing the game correctly. Bottom line.
Above board.
Bottom line. He's buying blood in the street. These companies are, when this market research, reverts back to the mean, these businesses are going to be profitable again. And he's going to be there to own it. He's playing the game correctly. Like, what can you say wrong about that? Like, what kind of person comes out and takes a shot? What is it, an ego game? What is it? Like, this is bullshit. I don't buy it from CZ at all.
It was a little out of character, actually. I thought. I'm looking for it, but yeah, it was just a subtle jab. And I think one of the guys at somebody in the FTX camp came out and basically just said, like, yeah, anytime I see CZ take a shot at us, like, I just know we're on the right track. Yeah. That's what put me on it. I forget where he said it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, look, don't get it twisted. I mean, I've been a Binance fan since September 2017 when it was still a wee lad. They've kicked me off now because where I'm from, we're not allowed on there anymore. So, but look, they've done really well at creating a great place to trade. But I agree, CZ, a little out of line here. But in a way, I think it's a really big nod to FTX because there was a long time, really up until this year, even maybe last year, that they just weren't on that same level. And now it seems like there's this clear 1-2 with Binance FTX, given that Coinbase is like heavily underwater.
Oh, he's a threat for sure. Sam's a
threat. Yeah.
Sam's on his level. He might not be on his level, like really, really balance sheet wise and personal wealth wise, but Sam's fucking on his level. Sam, I do agree. Like, he's doing amazing things in the space. He's fighting a good fight, and I think he is moving the space forward. Now, it's going to be tough for him because just that idea that Alameda, he started Alameda, which is big liquidity provider, and the masses just look at like big liquidity providers as in like kind of an evil light. It was the same way when I was on the floor. There was like how people looked at Susquehanna, how people looked at Goldman Sachs. It's in crypto, how they look at Alameda, any of these market makers, like they're out to try to steal your money on every order type of thing, which is,
it's like anyone who's on the other side of a trade that you lose.
Yeah.
Even if they're just providing you liquidity, it's like, thanks for the liquidity, but I lost, so fuck you.
Yeah. I do think without that piece, I mean, Sam's looking really good in a white dress. So
I actually, this is weird to say, but I had a dream about him last night.
Oh my Lord.
I had a dream. Sam Bankman-Fried was in my dreams last night. You know that one you have right before you wake up where it's like super vivid, and he
Are you gonna like be all weird when you're around him now?
Well, yeah, if we get him on the show, I mean, it was a strange thing. It was a direct result of him giving that Tesla away to Greg. You know that Greg account that's really funny?
Oh, so
yeah,
you
that
were
guy. So, and it was a weird, I don't know, it was like I had to run and he gave me these sunglasses that would track my running. It was really strange. And then I woke up and I was like, that's fun. So yeah, I had a dream about SBF last night.
I'll tell you what, I died over that tweet that Owen Condor put out the other day with it was like something about the non-vegan Sam and the Dan, you were
yeah. If Sam ate meat.
Oh yeah, the OnlyFans guy that looked like Sam.
The cock rabbi.
Oh my God, the cock rabbi. That was I geeked on that.
I got to put a shout out to Bone Condor, Caitlin. I mean, it's a big part of us and the energy back in Hero Labs. And I see things like today, it just makes my day when I sign on here and I just see like the pre-stream tweets and all this energy around it. There was a long time, early days, you know, that was just me. And if I didn't do it, it didn't. And now they're just breathing so much energy in. And I told myself today they're getting a big shout out on the stream. So if y'all are watching, we have new members on the Hero Labs team, unsung heroes thus far. Yeah. And I'm looking down her Twitter because if you don't follow them yet, if you guys don't follow them yet, get over here. We've got Bone Condor. Honestly, just a great follow. I just really enjoy the vibes. And and Dead Kate Bounce.
Oh yeah,
a couple of new members to the squad here. So if you don't follow those guys, put them on there.
They're rock solid.
Yeah.
Let's listen. We're up 1.5% today. People are like feeling kind of just relief because it's like, I guess it's like the Matt Damon gif where it's incoming and it's been incoming for so long. But I mean, let's look at the charts and just see what's going on here, because a lot of people, what you'll start hearing is just bear market rally, you know, fade every bounce, do whatever. And that's kind of been the right method for a while. But where do we stand here? Because it's not like we're out of the woods.
No, we're not. Let me take a look. I was just looking at the chat there. Let me take a look over here. I saw an interesting fractal that I want to bring up today. Maybe not right away, but it's basically like this 3K bottom. Very similar to like the 3,200 back in the day. I mean, look, and this is pretty standard stuff. You know, you get the stab down, you drift back to the reload zone. I did do a little DCAing down here last week. I've been a little more aggressive coming up here, adding on the lower time frames. On basically every coin, you've just got this massive gap in the VPVR because we basically just teleported down. There was not a lot of business done through here. Mm-hmm. And for those who don't know, similar to like almost like physics, I mean, these things just like to get filled in. Price, if it had its own, if it had its own free will, price tends to like to explore all the range. So typically when you see one of these, this would be a double distribution. So you have lots of volume here, lots of volume here, and that tends to signal that we're going to range in here. And it's not really finished until you get more of a regular single distribution. So keep an eye north of current range for a move up. I think whatever we carve out down here, eventually we've got to fill that in, and probably, this is definitely not a buy zone. This is like the end of the move if we get there. So that's what I'm seeing on basically every coin is just this juicy gap up above. You're going to see that on ETH. You're going to see that on every major. And if we zoom out, you can see why, right? So we have a ton of volume traded up through here. That was the whole bull market, basically. You've got a ton of volume. It's hard to see a little bit right there, but you got a ton of volume down here that has just recently been traded. And then, of course, back here, pre-20K breakout. But this gap is just across the board. And so there's a lot of business to be done there. It's a magnet
too, but it's a big one. Like there's some plays. I mean, people should be looking at some risk reward plays here on this, whether it's some option spreads or something. I mean, it's a 25% gap, right? I mean, 20%. What's my screen's small here, but I mean, what is the?
Oh, let's see. I mean, from even just current price, which frankly is like kind of high in the range, it's a pretty high risk level here But I mean, we're 38%, 32% on just Bitcoin to get up to those kind of like that summer lows, which should probably be resistance now.
That's
Weird old trend
a
line now.
monster move. If you put that into perspective, which is why I just geek over like crypto markets in general. I mean,
Yeah.
that used to be 2 years worth of a move in like equity.
Yeah.
Like that.
That's a 5-year S&P.
A 30% gap is a biggie. So I don't know if it teleports there. You never know. It's the type of thing that very well could, but they also might get some eager people who start piling in once they think it breaks at 22, wash them out back down to 25, 20, and then like go, I meant 20,005, and then take it. So I don't know, but it's a big gap.
Yeah, zooming in here, there's, for those who like pennants, there is a pennant forming on Bitcoin. Actually, today is a really key moment if you're trading that pennant. We've just broken through it. If you're drawing it off the wicks. And so, I know this is a view a lot of people are taking right now. I'm more of a horizontal guy, which I think it's just more of a sound strategy. The more advanced traders typically all lean towards horizontals because that's where the VPR, the volume, it's just more relevant. I don't know. But anyways, we've got this little breakout here, which to me is not a confirmation just yet. You want to see like a W up here before you say that's broken, because how many times you just see this and then we just break down the next day. I would not be shocked at all. Actually, I think I have it over here. I would not be shocked at all to see something like this where, you just get this and through the weekend we roll over and we just chop, and we break down one more time. That's possible. As far as breaking out of this range, my strategy here is just to be accumulating through this because like you said earlier, and I was talking to you guys before the show, I mean, Dan, there's just, I don't see any more big sellers. Like Dan, you said before the show, like we need a new narrative, a new reason.
Yeah.
Something would have to happen for us because to me, it's like, if you didn't sell yet, if you're sitting there finger on the trigger, like, should I sell? This is bearish. Maybe I'll try to buy lower. If you haven't sold yet, you're probably not selling right now.
You're not selling.
Not off.
You're looking to buy it.
Yeah, and the new narrative now that's starting to come as the dust settles is like, ooh, Celsius has paid off their loans. Like the fear of that is subsiding. Voyager is filing for bankruptcy. 3AC, like that stuff. That's the old narrative.
Right. It's an old narrative that now we're living with. Like it's all baked,
it's priced in.
Right. It's the new
priced in.
The new state of the world. Can't go back and change it. So
yeah.
In my opinion, it's priced in. I think unless you have new forced sellers coming in the market, like maybe a technical retest, but a technical retest without a change in the state of the world or news is going to be a buying opportunity. It doesn't make sense to go lower from here unless there's something really, a catalyst to really drive it. And does that mean, are we playing like the Bill Perkins game? Like, if you're not a buyer, then you're a seller. And if you're not a seller, then you're a buyer. Maybe, but what I can see is, and kind of what Robbie was saying is that there is good risk reward in at least a reversion back to the upper side, the upside of that bell curve. And
it's that reversion that, frankly, we've been waiting on for like 13 fucking weeks. I mean,
exactly.
Like ETH had basically 13. I don't know about last week's candle. Maybe is a little green, but like 13 out of 14 green or red weeks. At some point, the elasticity of it is just, if you want to reprice at a certain point, you have to bounce. You get these elastics. I mean, okay, maybe everyone decides that ETH should be worth 500, but it's not going to be a straight shot. I think a lot of us were shocked at how far it stretched already. So wouldn't be shocked. Now, the reason I'm pulling this up, this was, I should give a shout out, Benjamin Bluntz on Twitter, who actually, I don't even know if I follow him, but his tweet popped up and he was drawing a fractal sort of comparison to, this sort of V and then rounded the Adam and Eve. And this was the previous bear market low, 36, 3,400, 3,200. And this is what I look for too. Actually, I was learning this during this while it played out. So I didn't actually trade it too well years ago, but now I'm obviously watching it. And this is very similar to our current price action. Actually, we would be right around here. And so do we do kind of that breakout of that pennant and come back down and shake it one more time? Is it going to play out the exact same? No. But if you're looking at the price action saying, is this sometimes how things reverse? Yes.
Yeah, you watch price action. You don't have to chase it up. Like watch price action on the pullback. I think that's always a great indicator. And if it wilts the same way that when we were going lower, when all the shit was hitting the fan the last few weeks, where any attempt at an up move just like went limp, right? And
very quickly.
Same thing. I feel like it's flipped now. Like you want to really watch price action, or you have these big volume pushing hard lower. Can't wait to get the hell out of positions. Is that happening, or is it like, has it just gone quiet and are the pullbacks low volume? That's when you really are gonna, like, I think your probability of continuation of the upside increases dramatically.
Yeah, and I don't know about you guys, and I know I find it a little cringe when people do too much of this, like, oh, everybody's this and everybody's that, or nobody's. So I don't want to generalize too broadly, but in all of the places that I look for signals around where's the public, how are they positioned, what's their mentality, what's their mindset, we're very wrecked right now. Like, like in places where nobody even knew how to short before, everyone's sitting around like bragging about shorts, or like, now I say this self-deprecating in a sense. I tried to short this whole fucking move up 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I hadn't barely made any money shorting down here, literally nothing. I think I was fully in Bitcoin here, and I held the whole goddamn thing. And then as soon as we started moving up, I thought, okay, now I know what to do now. We're in a bear market. And I shorted the 6K. It fucking cut like butter. I think I had 2 Bitcoin in a BitMEX account, which back then was like, 12,000 or something. I ran to the hills with like 0.5 Bitcoin. I got rinsed. I got completely rinsed. I felt that disbelief, right? Where you stand in front of the freight train at the wrong time. So if I feel that that's coming again, as far as feelings go, as far as energy in the market.
Robbie, I don't know if you've
got to learn that the hard way.
You're giving me PTSD of like standing in the trading pit and having a naked position on and just being absolutely on the wrong side of it. And then you have like some news comes out to make it even worse. And then you have like 10 dudes that are like 6'6" to 6'8". They're all 320 pounds and they got their hands up. And like, I'm a big guy and like, I feel like a pimple on the ass of an elephant. Like not even worth getting, like all you can do is actually walk out of the pit and put an order into a broker and hope.
Not a good feeling.
That taught me some good lessons at a very young age. So
being
I
on the wrong side sucks.
One thing I am terrible at doing in crypto is I don't take shorts after, like as much as it could be the right play and has been the right trade, like even from 30,000 and lower, it's hard to fucking open shorts.
So I don't know how people do it. It doesn't jive with even though like the short-term trading. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's that one moment where you get caught on the wrong side of a position and then like you're like, shit, I just like wasted $10,000 of I wasted 16% of a Bitcoin move.
Unless you got like a lean, you got a broker in the pit who's got 1,000 calls, you can just lift,
right.
and like
you have to lean on it, right? You're getting out.
Right.
The big move, if we're gonna get the next big move here, and I think it's actually probably wrong to sit here and wait for the big move. Often you get this consolidation and it's going to drive us crazy. It could last a little longer than you want. But the big move from here to me is like strong probability upside.
Yes.
70, 80%, I'd say. And it's like I said, though, but it's weird. It's uncanny, I think, how comfortable the average Joe now trading is at just looking for the next short. Like you're just same as up here with the longs.
That's what's going to fuel the next up.
I don't know, but
they're going to get their
the masses right now. The masses, everyone I speak to in crypto, the real world, they all are way leaning on the side that we're going lower, like and potentially much lower. I mean, for real, that people think that we are going way lower in a lot
consensus.
Of stuff. More than 50% of the people I talk to. So
okay. Interesting. Like the guys that you used to talk to that would all see algo, and you remember we used to always joke. We say when Rob says my buddy, He means a guy who moves markets. And then when you talk about algo, and 2 weeks later, algo's up 200%. Is these those guys?
No, this is Joe Schmo. Everybody.
Okay. Yeah.
This is everyone you see.
Public indicators.
People in TradFi, people in real estate, people, they're hunkering down for lower.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's the vibe right now.
They may be right. I'm willing to take the counter and be dead ass wrong on this.
Yeah.
But I think that it's any test lower, at least unless there's some other grenades that haven't gone off the rod.
Let's look at, I know it's hard to do, but I think it is really a big deal, and you have to know what other people are looking at, the rest of the world. But let's just take a look at what they're seeing right now. They are seeing the dollar
let's go look at the dollar.
Like breaking out again, making highs. It could be the fake out, but they're seeing the dollar break out. The euro people they're all messed up right now. I mean, there's issues. Seriously, there's like a farmer thing in the Netherlands where I think police opened fire at some farmers. Like I think they're the second biggest ag exporter behind the U.S. There's like serious issues. Germany with the electricity prices that look like the Weimar like inflation, hyperinflation stuff is.
Sri Lanka is out of fuel. The entire fucking country. I've been seeing some real trouble over there.
The bottom line is, this to me makes me so wildly bullish of like Bitcoin and that hard asset that it's crazy, but it doesn't necessarily matter if this whole like risk off wave continues. But in the end, Bitcoin is gonna, I think, come out of this and like it's gonna really surprise everybody and absolutely moon. That's my take. I don't know when, but the whole structure of global central bank stuff right now is it's stressed.
Interesting take or point that I think is worth making. And I was watching Brian Beamish on the Daily Brief day before, and he just put out a stark reminder to everyone. He said, look, like it or not, guys, currencies lead markets, right? It's the Forex market that ultimately leads, energy, whatever other sector. And I think that's important to remember when people get tired of watching the Dixie. And, when it's rallying, it tends to be a more risk-off environment. Now, for my cope, because I am bullish even locally on Bitcoin and that, I think even if we're going to go lower, we have to squeeze up higher, suck in some new shit money that's going to dump it below the 20K. But there's a lot of bearish divergence here. So is this the end of the move for the Dixie, and we just go into this little blow off top here, and that marks, the end of a midterm pivot? That's my hopium. That's my for what it's real. I mean, there's momentum is waning.
The dollar rallying does not necessarily mean Bitcoin needs to sell off. The dollar rallying means that every other person on earth with their currency, the euro, the yen, the yuan, they're all feeling
flight to quality
and like what the fuck.
You've always said this. This has been your horse, the hill, so to speak, that you're dying on. And I think, you're not wrong. Last year, you were not wrong.
Yeah, we'll see. It's just the bottom line is when finally nothing goes up forever, like the dollar's just not going to rally against every other currency. But in the end, we've got a problem here too.
Yeah, Bitcoin rallied through this. I mean, this was the whole bull market, really.
Yeah,
it's not. Yeah,
the long term thesis is just getting better, in my opinion. So that's kind of why it
right.
We'll
this
NASDAQ
is
looks
what
good.
I was saying before. Like, you want to look at this is the time to look for divergence.
Yeah.
Like a decorrelation, you mean?
Yeah, decoupling of the things that seemed that brought us here, brought us to this level.
Yeah. Well, look, I think the NASDAQ, for what it's worth, I think looks pretty good down here. This was the sort of W that
nobody today
said nobody today. Oh my God. NASDAQ looks good. No, look, we've completed the harmonic, which is, markets like to move in harmonics. I think there's an ABCD here that's just been roughly completed. This was the last big consolidation around late 2020 that sent us off to new highs. We've just dipped into that 88.6. I mean,
yeah,
I think we're due for. Look, now I don't really care. The bottom is it the bottom? I just want to know what the next move is. And I think even if we're going lower eventually, I think the next move's just got to be higher. Like I just, if nothing else, I just don't know that there's enough sellers anywhere to push this significantly lower until we go and find some sellers. And so in that sense, it's like, hey, let's, and then who's buying up in here, right? All the same people that would then hold it underwater and eventually puke it out down here.
Can you, Colin, can you put up, this is one thing I was thinking about the other day. Can you put up the daily or a weekly even on, or a 3-day, whatever, on Bitcoin? I want to go back and look at 2018.
Yeah, let's go see.
By the way, doing every week we do shows with Colin, it makes me realize after 30 years of this business how little I actually have ever paid attention to technical analysis.
Yeah.
You have so many tools in your arsenal that I don't like.
Oh, this would have been fun. That didn't work out.
The
Speaking of TA not working.
The analyzer. Yeah.
The analyzer, yeah. Okay, let's erase that. This was my hopium earlier this year, got me into a little trouble. But I cut my positions like a good trader. Now, okay, what do you want to look at?
What I wanted to see was when we sold off from 20,000 down to wherever we went. I want to say like 12 or maybe like 8 or lower, and then we went on this crazy squeeze up, and then we shit the bed again. I kind of want to see what that looks like. There we go.
Yeah. Roughly when are we thinking here?
Yeah, there is this it right here.
This is like the 12K that was like. I'll never forget. This is when Ledger Status. Remember this one, Rob? And we were live like the next day, and he went enter all markets. Mm-hmm. I was like, God, I didn't. This was the chop zone. Had me like unsure as fuck. I thought we were going to come down and test.
It was this first move actually way back here, which if you go back, go all the way back to, this is into 2019. Oh, that was smart.
We could even go to Coinbase, get a little more history.
Go to like, oh, we can't go back.
Do you guys remember when that was the chart and you saw that peak there and you're like, oh my God, if I could, like, there's just, and then look how tiny that is looking at the next.
I know.
love it. Imagine when this we're looking at is the same way, because it will be in 5-10 years. Like, oh my God.
Well, it's so easy to have this as your view, but I always like to joke that, in my mind, this is, I see it like here. Oh. Like
it was this move.
This is the perspective that I'm trading on, basically. When I say
Dan still wants to get in there. Get in there.
Yeah, sorry, Dan. Where do you want to go? Give me a date.
Wait, I got the wrong thing up here. Go back to this to the 2017, 2018 peak.
Okay, yeah.
And then like you had that huge down candle.
Yeah.
It's all happened too quickly though, so it doesn't really make sense. And then we retraced. Like I can't really see on this.
Oh, you're thinking about like even if it's a bear, we're gonna get these like 20 50%
and then
rallies.
Like shit the bed. We had huge wick down to like 8,000 and then back up to like 14.
Yeah, we're gonna need a daily. We're gonna need a little more details. Here we go.
And I was like, is this if you're playing this, the past repeats itself, which obviously no past is never indicative of the future, but is this the type of play that you get right now? You get this like we had an absolute shit show, and now you're in retrace mode, and like, is it 50% of the way back? Is it like what is it? It's probably going to go further than you think if you're on
the wrong side of it. It always goes further than you want.
And then from there you figure out like, okay, now you can go and start retesting lower again and see is the market going to hold in there? Is there a bid there? And like and go into price discovery lower and search for a bid.
Yeah, I mean, look, the fun thing about fibs is they do work both ways. So, if you want to be a bear, there's a dump chaser zone. If you want to be a midterm bear, that's great. It's just that after you get these little puke zones and you kind of range out a bit, you got to be aware of these retracements. Now, look, it's not going to play out. Almost certainly not going to just rhyme, repeat, play out exactly the same, but there are certain things that are driven by human nature that hasn't changed. And so, and I think a lot of that is what you're just talking about, like that squeeze up. These are not small squeezes, right? It's so easy in retrospect to be like, oh yeah, like nice little bounce. That's 2 weeks of bullish headlines, 2 weeks of guys rubbing it in your face that you missed the bottom, 2 weeks of guys trying to FOMO you into positions because they're long, and then you get nuked. So, these squeezes are big, and again, not interested in calling bottoms or thinking about it. Is it the bottom? Is it not? I want to make money, and I want to make money on the long side. And I think that a summer squeeze up here is, whether we get lows after that or not, is highly probable. So, what was your take on this price action here, Dan? What did you want to?
No, that was it. It was just kind of this this retrace. It really was the one further back. We went to like 8,500 or something. See that big wick? There's this huge wick down.
Yeah. There's 9,000. There's 10,000.
Yeah, I mean it was pretty quick actually from the high. Look at that! Like in a week, we went back to.
Well, on BitMEX, it was even deeper. I think.
And then ripped back to 16,000.
Yeah, I think we should look at the BitMEX one actually. I think that was the one that was like insane. Let's go see it.
Oh, you're thinking about this even back in 17?
2017? No, that's 2019.
Oh, well, the 2019 one.
This was the highs that came in on BitMEX. One of the only places that actually hit 20K, if I recall correctly, right up here, and then it dropped so aggressively in like 5 days. 45% in 5 days. Oh, yeah.
By the way, I remember that peak, like this peak area. There was that moment, some of those up moves where Coinbase to like Bitfinex was like a $3,000 or $4,000 arbitrage.
Jesus.
For like hours.
So what are I think the big $1 million question? What are the alts going to do here? We look at Bitcoin dominance has kind of been a blah type of thing lately. It hasn't. It's just
let's look at it. It's actually it's funny. I drew up this consolidation range like back in May. I just thought, look, like May of last year, I just thought this is just such a big level. There's no way we're going to smash through this, was my thinking. I'm pretty proud of myself. We nailed this consolidation range as far as like we've just been living in it now. There's nothing to speak to here. And that's been reflected in ETHBTC, which we can see here. Actually, I have a better chart for it, but just briefly, I mean, on the daily, there's just been a range. Actually, we finally broke down from this range. This was like a year where Bitcoin and ETH were just basically in lockstep.
Yeah.
Bitcoin took the lead here just recently, which is interesting because the merge seems like the bigger narrative coming up.
No one's talking about it anymore.
I saw a guy on Twitter the other day say, just a reminder that the ETH merge trade or long was like the worst trade in history. And I just thought, damn, did you just like signal like this, like, is this the moment to get long ETH for that merge trade? Everyone was just too early.
Well, it was, why, partly why, Three Arrows, that was one of their big plays, right? I mean, Sue like kind of shit on ETH and Twitter. And then the next day when it dumped the wallets and they had loaded up and they had a massive, I believe a massive play on that.
Does anybody use it?
What's that?
Yeah, people.
I don't know. Like, does it have real world use case at this point?
Yeah, of course.
Ethereum? I mean, not
as. I mean, of course it does. Like, does it?
It does. It's what is it going to be? That the settlement layer, the most well distributed, most decentralized layer one. I trust it. I mean, I think it's still got a lot of
daily transactions aren't even that down. I mean, gas is down. The bloat is way down. But, I mean, look, daily transactions is just trending up. I don't think we can get caught in the despair of this kind of, like, excessively bearish crowd that's just saying, like, oh, it was all a lie, like it was all just a scam. No one ever is going to use this shit. The yields are dead.
Case, but, like,
don't let your disdain for the ETH maxis cloud your,
I don't think Dan is saying bearish blockchain.
I hold a reasonably sized position in Ethereum, like for the long term, alongside of my Solana near maximalism at this
moon
point.
Boyish. That's what I was going to say. I don't think you were knocking.
I think Cosmos is probably starting to trend. Like you're starting to see more and more building going on there. That looks interesting. But I'm like, it does the hegemony of ETH in the altcoin market, like the Roman Empire falls, the US will eventually, if it hasn't already, fall. Like,
I was going to say, I think you were getting to a Solana shill there almost.
I'm not.
You were moving
I'm
towards
trying to keep it objective away from the Solana. Like, listen, and for the record, like I know publicly, I'm pro Solana, and it's a little bit of a defensive tactic against these crazy ETH maxis, but also because I believe in it and because we build on it, and I have a deep understanding of the developer community there.
Well, you hang out with the lead devs, so you're going to have really good insight.
Yeah, but I'm also the first one to call bullshit when there's bullshit. Like there were some issues like with some bug bounties of some projects not paying bug bounties that like I was willing to get vocal on that. That doesn't.
I saw that actually.
That doesn't help my book. Like,
yeah, that was yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
no, I trust that you're pretty objective. I just mean it helps when you're sitting with the guys that are leading the charge in innovation on the chain. I think the big public knock on Solana is when the chain goes down and everyone talks about that. And I've even come to you guys after some of our meetings, right? And I'm like, hey guys, like how worried about that are you? Why don't you tell us your take? Because I think let's clear the air there. What is your take on that? I know Rob, it's the idea.
I'm not. I'll use a basic analogy, although this is extremely more complex. But like when trading first went electronic, like the amount of clunkiness and the amount of times things crashed was insane. But like more and more, like things got smoother. They optimized. Everything got optimized. The internet itself became more optimized. Like everything just got better. And I think that part in the same way that you had all these test pilots in the in the Ethereum DeFi space, playing the test and prod game, like Solana's not that much different. It's only 2 years old. And so I think that that's why the risk reward exists. That's why the convexity exists in it. Otherwise, if it was like a hardened, no longer in beta, which I think these things will always be in beta, marketplace, like it would be at full
higher price.
Yeah. But I don't even tie it to a price because so much of the price is just like it's just the market and noise and supply versus demand. But I can also tell you that as a builder on Solana, like I'm actually using it. I actually need to buy it, and I'm happy it's at these prices. So the Hxro Foundation is able to accumulate it because it needs it. You need it for rent. You need it for transaction fee. Like it's there, and it has a real use case. And I also believe I have never seen a smarter group of engineers collectively build what they're building, and I think it's not going anywhere, and the things that are getting built on it are pretty massive, and they have an unbelievable strategy in terms of crossing over into the rest of the world along the lines of payment rails and trading applications, and like Hxro for example, being a key primitive there for derivatives. Like these are infrastructure pieces that are going to sit at the underbelly of the financial world in over the next decade, over multiple decades, and
2030s,
early stages of it in the 2030s, right? 2140. It'll be
my boomer phase. No, I get bullish.
That's why I'm in it. That's why I'm in it. That's why that's why we build on it. If I thought the engineers and that were behind it were not as competent as they are, I'd probably feel less strongly about it. But we did our homework when we started on this. It wasn't just a shot in the dark, and it hasn't. The narrative has not changed for me at all.
Yeah, I actually get confused because the game here, as far as like, I'm going to try and make some money, is I'm speculating, and I'm speculating. And if anything, I want to buy like a wounded horse that has like a kick-ass doctor, like it's just like I want to buy it when it's down. I want to buy into these negative narratives. When I see Solana's offline again, I'm like, okay, like that's not great. It's in beta. It's early. It's well funded. It's got great devs. I don't know how the hell they're going to fix it, but I'm betting that they can. And when it's, when that is put to rest, I don't think I'm going to get, I just know I'm not. It's going to be priced in. It's going to be at whatever price that whatever value people put on that. So I actually get excited when I see something that I believe can make it struggling, because I'm like, okay. So it is weird to me when people just say like, oh, Solana keeps going down. I'm like, The question I want to know is, like, in 5 years, is it going to be still going down, or are we going to look back and be like, remember those early days? You know, so that's what got me into Bitcoin when I got in. And first of all, I would block or even just mute. Mute's even better because they don't even know that you've blocked them. Anyone who just defines themselves as a maximalist or maxi. And there's a lot going on Twitter right now about Bitcoin maxis. I don't know what happened. Everyone's talking about the toxicity. I couldn't even tell you because I've muted every single person I've ever come across.
They're collectively a fairly angry, agitated, ornery group.
It's a black hole of wasted energy. Like talking to them, talking to somebody who's, you know, I've made up my mind and this is my thing. I'm like, great, see you later. So if you ever get caught up in that, just remember to mute. Life is good over here.
Life is good over here.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't. I've got 2 arguments, I think, maybe in my history with them, and I just regretted both. So, anyways, by
the way, there's no winner.
Let's talk Atom. I know, Rob, you've always quietly been a fan of Atom through the bull. We've exchanged numbers. What are you seeing these days? Do you have a position? Are you thinking about, is this one of your DCAs? Like, what's going on? It looks great.
3-day
looks really good.
I've got a position in Atom. I think that, you know, it's kind of right now, the layer 1 bucket is kind of just a big bucket to me. And you can tell certain days Atom's getting more flow than others, and then other days Solana will get flow. But I do think that right now it's like Atom, Avalanche, Solana, very much kind of that L1 play with ETH. Like, okay, when are they gonna bounce? I think we're gonna have days where they bounce significantly more than, like, you know, just relative to Bitcoin, because they've been hit so much more. But I do think that Atom is going to get a lot of flow. I think that, you know, that network is going to grow. People are really, you know, a lot of smart people are really into it. You saw what DYDX did. They decided to build an app chain there.
Somebody just asked about that in the chat.
Yeah. I mean, so like Atom, I like it. If you believe that there's going to be more basic like transactions and applications built on chain, then, you know, you want to own layer 1s. You want to own some Atom. You want to own some Solana. You want to own some Avalanche. You want to own Bitcoin, Ethereum. Pick some others too if you want to sprinkle it. But that's like kind of that layer of L1 that.
Are we saying that it's time for an L1 index?
Like a basket? Hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they exist, but yeah, that's what when I tell people, I'm like, yeah, buy Bitcoin and buy these layer 1s. And then if you want to buy some other stuff, there's a few other names that I think would be good to take a stab at. I'll tell you what, like the NFT world is not going away. And I mean, I think there's going to be so many plays there, not just like buying NFTs and profile pictures, but like real infrastructure and real stuff that makes money. I think gaming's not going anywhere, and more is going to be done on chain. So pick some winners, pick some teams. There's some names that are going to 100x. There's no question in my mind. So try not to chase shiny things that are all fluffy and you know, aren't really doing stuff. Try to pick some
things that have value accrual, things that are actually building, that have substantive software that could potentially change whatever industry they're a part of, like that are incorporating decentralized concepts like DeFi concepts. And
agreed.
There's some there's a take somebody mentioned on my Twitter the other day, because I was talking about DCAing some names that I think will be here in 5 years, that I'm like confident will be around: Solana, AVAX, ETH. And I base that confidence on developer community, active development, you know, projects that are building, the VC space that I get some insight into. Obviously very busy, you know, a lot of stuff coming out for AVAX, Solana. Not so much Cosmos in my circles, but it doesn't mean they're not there. And their comment was that I thought was interesting was like, well, hey, we had a lot of that in ICO 2017, all those alt L1s, those ETH alternatives, the ETH killers, and they all just died. In the next cycle, it was these new ones, Solana, AVAX. Don't you think next cycle there will be a new shiny toy? Now, here's why I don't think that's the case. Yes, there will be new shiny toys, and the best blockchain to exist may not even have been built yet. I would actually like to think that. But the funding, the actual building, the developing is different this time around. Whereas like the 2017 alt L1s, they were all white papers. 99% of them never made it to production. And of that 1% that made it to production, very few of them got a lot of builders. So I'm not too worried about will AVAX be around next cycle? Will anyone care about it? But I think the overwhelming probability is that this is what price action is going to look like for the next few months for all of these. And so for anyone who is letting these like 6 green candles on the 3-day kind of like fire up your bullishness, just be aware of that. Know your time frames. If you're buying for the next 2 weeks and you want to make some money, there's not a lot of room left maybe in this move. I just think if you look at any of these charts historically, because this is the human nature piece, it hasn't changed. It's not going to change. The consolidation after the big move is what takes all the time. You get the big ups, tops come in fast, bottoms take a long time to form.
Yep.
So if nothing else, I just want to get that out there and make sure that I get really bullish on Twitter, on stream. I am long a lot of these things, but I'm actually looking to play the washing machine cycle a little bit, whatever that's going to look like, wherever this resistance comes in. Because the overwhelming probability is that for the next year, we're looking at this kind of like, fake it out, then run it back to the lows, make everyone think, and then run it up again. And that's how you cleanse the market. Brian calls it the washing machine cycle. I think that's the greatest term for it that I've heard. And when that all cleans up, then we can see who's going to rise from the ashes. And it's probably going to be stats like somebody actually mentioned in the chat here. What was the stat? Like things that are being built. Check the chart of contracts launched on ETH in the past 6 months. So let's see the GitHubs. Let's see who's building, because they're probably going to rise out of this trench a lot earlier.
Yep.
I'd agree more.
That's my take.
Could not agree more. I have to get off.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap at the top of the hour. Are you trying to front run that for a couple minutes?
I wouldn't like to. I'd like to stay for another hour if we could, but
I could talk for another hour.
Duty calls.
I'm going up north this weekend, so I'm going to be offline. I am vigilant of this trend line. I think if you want to watch local price action, there's a pretty sweet little level working on Bitcoin here. Any final thoughts you guys want to share as we wrap up? Next week we'll be back with Messi full squad. Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday again this time, and then Tuesday, Network Effect.
Network Effect. We're going to launch our new show on Tuesday. It's going to be less charts, more substance. No, I'm just kidding. I think charts are substantive, but we're going to focus less on price action and more on, fundamentals, I guess you could say.
Yeah, more fundamentals and more, a little more hero ecosystem discussions around what's happening there, just as a way to kind of keep the community informed just through live stream. I think it's a more effective way of communicating than having to write up community updates all the time. So
slightly shorter show too, right? 30,
yeah,
45
it's only gonna be like
minutes,
30, 45 minutes. We'll have guests on, way more guests on, and just getting people, just building awareness around within the hero ecosystem and hero community, and obviously super excited to get that going.
Yeah, that's been almost 2 months now in the making. We've been kind of cooking it up, and in fact, it's actually a big part of what brought us all back together in here for DeltaFi. So hopefully, you guys can stick around and watch that next week. That'll be Tuesday at the same time, noon Eastern, 11 p.m. or 11 a.m. Central.
That's right.
In the meantime, let's get a final thought here, guys. Let's put some, what do we got? What are you working on specifically in the market? What are you doing? I like to always push Rob for this. I know you're sitting there trading on the back end. What are you trading, Robbie?
No, I honestly, there's a few different ways to look at it. If you're a long-term person here and you haven't added to some of your positions or you lightened up, I think that, it's a time to be that's the game I play, the stuff you really like for the long term. But here, I'm looking at it layered, right? Like first it's Bitcoin, the overall like Bitcoin chart, and then I kind of want to go a little more. All right, well, if Bitcoin looks good, then how are the L1s looking? What seems to be getting some money flow? I saw Adam seemed to be getting a little more flow one day, and Solana the one day where they announced the mobile. So there's a few L1s that I think could outperform Bitcoin. And then you start looking a little further down the line, and what are some of your favorite names that actually are doing stuff that might even outperform the layer ones? So I'm always looking. I do think that right now Bitcoin and macro is still driving. So just don't get into too much like highly levered stuff here, because you never know when a macro headline is going to hit, and then people just don't care. They hit red button on everything. So it's just still there.
That's one thing I'll say too. Like like we talked about this before the show. I mean, I have some positions I've been building. Definitely, and I'll use the term that I just learned is the popular term. I am a slut for down 80-90% of good projects. But am I supposed to say that?
We'll talk to the PR lady after. PR lady.
And
no,
I am not. I have no leverage on. It's just these are spot positions that I'm building at this point.
Yeah, I never encourage. Well, I never encourage anyone to do anything in the market except for play from strength. But I never really push the leverage button myself. But I do find it interesting that when everyone's just casually sitting in leverage positions and it becomes the thing, and that's always when those 30% nukes come in during the bull. And it's usually after the big flushes that objectively are the safest time or the smartest time to use leverage, and no one's really talking about it or doing it. This is probably the dip here where I should have been like, if I want to strap on leverage, that's probably where I want to do it. I didn't. I'm in spot longs across the board, and yeah, but the temptation is there. The temptation to see that green P&L live on the trade. Spot P&Ls are never as exciting, but that's actually why I trade them better, because I'm not staring at. It's impossible for me.
You actually can go on with your day.
Yeah, I can't not count chickens. When I see like a 5K P&L and I'm like, ooh, I'm up 5K, and then I see a 1K P&L the next day and I'm like, oh, I'm down 4K. It's like, no, you're up 1K. Right. I struggle staring at the live P&L. So anyways, we're in Bahamas here in the studio. I changed it because like the Toronto dark skyline seemed too dark. So I cooked us up with some tropical.
I like it. Let's keep the Bahamas.
It's summer. It's summer. And real quick, as we wrap up, I'm so excited for the Bahamas FTX next year. They've rented out, they said, all of Bahamar. Dude, Gunny?
That's crazy.
Booking tickets like next week. I'm booking tickets. All of Bahamar just for FTX Bahamas. I mean, I'm doing like, I'm not going to have a drink for the next like 10 months. I'm saving myself. So anyways, that's something that I'm really excited about. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure again. To be back with you each week now, next Thursday, noon Eastern. We're going to just keep going. And Messi has confirmed he will be here next week.
Awesome.
So that'll be a lot of fun.
Con.
All right, guys. Have a wonderful day. Everybody watching, thanks for coming out. Hit the like, hit the sub. Whatever you do from now until next time, always play from a position of strength. Take care.
See ya.